Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about a myriad of topics relating to the left, the biggest one among them being why red flag laws need to be overturned immediately, with Ohio Democrats proving that yet again here, and abortionists and everybody else like that in the Ohio subreddit. As well as how it took Democrats less than 48 hours in the state after issue 1 was voted down by their douchebag cheating leftists to try to push for gerrymandered districts in the favor of Democrats. So, yeah. And of course, this whole thing, basically, they're talking about civil war on the left now is what it is, and how people are like, oh, a bunch of right-wing people are talking about it now, and it's like, bro, everybody's been talking about that shit for the past couple of years on both sides of the blowout at this point. And to sit there, and what's interesting to me too, by the way, is how half the subreddit, or half the replies in that subreddit, this that I'm going to talk about here in a minute, how they're basically talking about like people getting FBI knocks and stuff like that. And it's like, when you look up the actual definition of fascism, that's what these people are committing right now, dude. They are trying to oppress and suppress any opposition to them. And that's exactly what they tried to do me 4 years ago. You know, and I'm going to be pissed for the rest of my life, honestly, over my federal swatting in 2019 because there was no reason for it. And it was because of fucking dickhead Andrew Yang supporters. It was little fucking commie bastards who shouldn't even be in this country, honestly, in most cases, because most of his fucking voter base was legal aliens and fucking foreign nationals anyway. And yet, they're going to fuck with me, an actual American citizen. So, then, of course, you have Brendan Herrera announce here in the last few days he's going to be running for Congress. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully he wins. I don't know what seat he's running for there in Texas. I think it's Texas anyway. It'd be funny if it was Sheila Jackson Lee's, the seat that she's currently holding there in, I think it's Houston or Austin, one of those two areas. I doubt he'd actually win in there, though, because it's like so gerrymandered blue is what it is there in the major cities there and stuff like that. So, but that would be kind of hilarious if he was able to win that seat, though. I'm assuming it's something else. It's like kind of like either like purplish or it's like leaning red or something like that. Maybe is the district he would be running in there. That's another thing too that always bothered me about like federal representation and stuff is technically the way that we should be as a country. If you're running for a congressional seat at a federal level, you should actually have to live within the district that you're running for is what it is. And I mean legitimate, like your permanent residence is like a house or an apartment or something like that in that congressional district, not, hey, I'm going to run over here in district 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and meanwhile I live in like district 14 or something like that, which is exactly what Pelosi and Maxine Waters and all those people like that do all the time. You have Maxine Waters specifically should be living in Compton, California, where her district actually exists, but she doesn't. She lives in a gated neighborhood miles and miles away from that place, and it's also the same neighborhood that Nancy Pelosi lives in, which is also not Pelosi's district for that matter. It's a bunch of shit entirely, dude. And again, it goes back to a position where we as a society need to say enough is enough of this shit and basically say, no, fuck you. You are gone from office entirely because you're not legally living in your district anymore. You have no legal authority to even be in this position of power because of that. You clearly don't give a shit about the constituency that you claim to be representing here because you're not. That's the whole point entirely. It's just, again, I've talked about it before, dude. It's not just Democrats either. It's everybody that's a career politician in this country. Democrat, Republican, et cetera, you know. Even independent, if that be the case, you know. Like Bernie Sanders comes, he wants to be, but in reality, he's just an old commie fuck is what it is. So, the entire point is, though, you have these individuals who will sit there and they will gain power, you know, that grab that power ring that, you know, sustains them forever is what it is, until their natural death in most cases. And they'll never let go of it. They'll never let go of it up into their 80s, 90s, literally sitting in wheelchairs like Dianne Feinstein is right now, literally a dimensional fuck like Biden is, you know, fucking pretending he's president and stuff like that. It's disgusting, dude. It really is, honestly. But, yeah, so we're going to actually talk about the definition of fascism here in a minute, and then we're going to go to the actual thread from the Ohio subreddit and talk about how it relates to that, honestly, and how these leftists want to sit there and claim fascism about everything that the right does, yet meanwhile they're the ones actually committing it is what it is. Because again, this is how they gaslight you. This is how you think you're insane. they'll sit there and claim that you're doing something while they're actually doing that thing. Just like that piece of shit Chris Murphy this morning, or not this morning, yesterday, I think is what it was, where you had RFK saying some stuff about Ukraine and stuff like that, and Russia had, like, apparently, I guess, some kind of agreement that they had made, like, a year ago or something. And apparently, from what I looked into, it is legit, honestly, or pretty close to legit anyway. And yet Chris Murphy's sitting there calling Robert F. Kennedy a liar and stuff like that. Yet meanwhile, Chris Murphy will lie his fucking ass off every day, claiming that, 87% of Americans support blah, 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 gun control. 90% of Americans support this kind of gun control, et cetera, et cetera. Yet he never mentions, just like any of these leftist assholes pushing for disarmament of American citizens, they will never fucking mention any of these polls that are conducted are 500 people or less. So what you're talking about with that 87, 90% is like 450 jackasses being like, oh yeah, we totally support this shit. And then when you actually get it scaled up to, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people, they're like, fuck you, dude. Get the fuck out of my face, bitch. Take your fucking communist bullshit, take your fascist bullshit, take your authoritarianism, and take it the fuck out of this country, you cocksucker. So, anyway. As Merriam-Webster defines fascism, a political philosophy, movement, or regime such as that of the fascisti that exalts nation and often race above the individual and stands for the centralized, autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader. Sound familiar in 2023, does it, ladies and gentlemen? I think it does with Biden and company. Severe economic and social regimentation, aka like communist China, where they implement, real IDs and social credit scores and stuff like that, and quote, forcible suppression of opposition, which is exactly what the left does every single time, and especially what they love to fucking do on social media sites like Reddit and stuff like that, which is very easy to do that, by the way. If you have your subreddit there that has like the threshold for positive karma at like 10 or 20 or whatever the case be, you just have everybody mass vote down somebody's opposing opinion to where they're negative karma now, and whenever they try to have their voice heard in that thing and post back or to you or whatever the case be, automatically their comments just removed is what it is. It's really fucked up, man. It really is. And I'm personally sick and tired of it. It's exactly why Reddit needs to be sued into the fucking ground at this point, dude, for suppression of freedom of speech is what it is. And that's what the case is in this matter. You have people who have never actually read the U.S. Constitution a day in their fucking lives, and yet they want to sit there and bitch about fascism or whatever the case be, yet meanwhile have no fucking clue what freedom of speech actually is what it is. And just because somebody happens to be mentioning something about something doesn't mean they're going to do anything, dude. It's just like me 4 years ago. I did a what if scenario of what if X were to lead to Y, would Z not be a thing, And that was the whole thing of it all. And yet, meanwhile, it's just like, oh no, you can't say that shit or whatever. It's like, fuck you, man. Yet, meanwhile, you got the left out there literally calling for days of violence against people. You got, after the Nashville shooting recently, they literally called for a trans day of violence, trans day of vengeance, whatever the hell they want to call it there, and started trying to kill people and stuff that day. Hell, you've had Antifa and BLM, they're terrorist fucking wing of the leftist Democrat Party, who have off people in the fucking streets, dude. Look back at Portland, Oregon, about 4 or 5 years ago now. I think it was into 2019 there. You had a piece of shit named Michael J. Reinhold, an Antifa fuckboy, literally waiting, and he murdered Aaron J. Danielson, a Trump supporter. And what happened to that son of a bitch, Reinhold? You then had the cops get into a firefight with him and kill his ass. And now it's a few years later now, and now you have his fucking idiot family trying to sue for wrongful death and stuff like that. Yet meanwhile, you can prove a timeline of events where this motherfucker, along with at least 12 to 13 other individuals, by the way, because there was like 13 to 14 people involved in this whole thing there. By the way, none of the people have ever been caught or arrested for that matter, that were all Antifa and BLM affiliated, by the way. I'd like to point that one out. You had these, dozen or so people kill this man in cold blood, literally trying to cover up evidence, by the way, because if you actually watch the original video there, you can see this black, it's like Dodge Charger or something like that, Dodge Challenger or something like that, come out of nowhere, people with flashlights trying to look for shell cases they can pick up real quick and collect the evidence is what it is. because they're trying to suppress evidence is what it is, man. They're trying to actually get away with murder is what it was in that case. And so you have those douchebags doing that stuff. You have all these fake medics and stuff like that coming out of nowhere to try to fuck with people and make sure the job was finished with the murder of Aaron is what it was. And what's even more fucked up about the whole situation there is that now you have this idiot Reinhold's family trying to sue for wrongful death when he was the one who actually committed an assassination. Let's call it what it is, dude. It was legitimately the definition of political assassination at that point. He found someone on the opposite side of the political spectrum that was in downtown Portland and killed that man. It's so fucked up, dude. And what's even worse is, it's gotten so much worse in Oregon now, dude. Whether it had been under Kate Brown, whether it be under Tina Kotex, or dumb bitch's name there is what it is, the one that's current governor there, who's clearly a lesbian. Looks like a fake ass Ellen DeGeneres, honestly. Yeah, you have stuff going on there so much anymore, dude. My mom was talking to my aunt last night that lives in Oregon there. I was just outside of Portland is what it is there. And owns properties there. And you've had people trying to squat in her rental property for the last month and a half or so. They recently had to arrest people that were going into the house and stealing shit. And these fucking pussy-ass piece of shit cops there in Oregon had the audacity to tell my aunt, oh, please don't press charges against these people. They were just looking for a place to sleep tonight. Fuck you, cop. Get the fuck out of law enforcement, you dickhead. Like, seriously. How is that not an automatic disqualification from even holding a position of authority in law enforcement at that point, dude? When you're actively telling a victim of a fucking crime to not press charges against some fucking piece of shit criminal. And it wasn't until after these fuck knuckle cops actually did their jobs and found out that because there was a pair of people, it was actually a man and a woman, both illegal aliens, by the way, in this country, found out that she had an active arrest warrant on her ass, that they finally arrested both of them, is what it was. For trespassing, for breaking and entering, et cetera, there. For breaking and entering for like an unoccupied dwelling, I think is what it was technically speaking, is what it would have been then. But yeah, it's just so fucking ridiculous, dude. And it's just infuriating, dude. Again, it goes back, and this is again what happens when you defund the fucking cops. This is what happens when you defund law enforcement. You push your fucking agenda, your communist, socialist, 2030 type of agenda, to where you want to defund good law enforcement, good people that actually give a shit about their constitutional oath to office, you know, when they put that badge on, and replace them with the shittiest fucking candidates possible. I mean, hell, I was watching local news recently, and they were talking about up there in Cleveland, Ohio, you had, I believe it was 98 or 99 people that were all cadets in the academy there trying to get, should have been graduating to become actual officers in the Cleveland, Ohio area is what it was there. 11 people of the 99 actually graduated the academy. The other 80-something people weren't even allowed to graduate and were disqualified on like a various set of factors or whatever the case be, like tattoos or I forget what the other stuff was or whatever. But even one of the council guys is like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about like, hey, are these people actually still qualified even without those like little disclaimers or whatever was there? Or that's what another thing was. It was like social media history of like quote unquote like gay slurs or something like this against someone back in the day in like age of like 14 or 15 or whatever it was, like 10 years ago. And again, it's like, dude, just because you call somebody a one on the fucking internet, you know, it's gamer shit, dude, is what it is. It's like that should not disqualify you from holding a position of power in this country, a position of enforcing the law. It's fucking ridiculous what it is, man, for real. And like I said, that's super infuriating. It's just like you're disqualifying better candidates and you're bringing in the trash is what it is. That's really what it is at the end of the day. And it really does make me wonder, how close are we to private policing in this country? How close are we to people like me hitting the lottery and we just make our own private military forces and stuff like that and have them be actual like rent-a-cops basically is what it'd be, or like quote unquote like armed security / private police forces would it be then, kind of like that movie Cuffs with patrol specials and stuff like that, where you'd be like paying someone to police your neighborhood and stuff like that. It'd be stuff like that, honestly, where they'd have like pretty much all the power of a cop. They're just not technically a cop is what it is. So, yeah. It'd be interesting, I think, honestly. And I think that's kind of where we're heading in the country, honestly, right now. Where you just have people like policing their own neighborhoods anymore is what it'd be then. Or even just for that matter, it'd be like armed citizens that would become like, de facto security / law enforcement would be then. So, anyway. But, as we've talked many, many times on this channel about Civil War in the past, potential things that could lead up to it. And I've talked about that many times, honestly, dude. And we, discuss it ad nauseum here, which is, I gave that good scenario of like, the whole powder keg thing of like 1776 and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, you got all the barrels of gunpowder being put in the old log cabin there, whatever it is, back in like 1775, 1776, 7, whatever it is there. And, there's some dude that decides to take a smoke break and, puffing on a cigar over there. And it's like lit ash comes, flying off and hits the gunpowder. Gunpowder starts sizzling and just waiting to go towards that whole powder keg and just boom, blow up and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, what would be the final straw that breaks the camel's back to a potential civil war breaking out? And I've talked about it before, honestly, here in Ohio, dude. I think, honestly, truthfully, it's the abortion thing right now. I think that will be a final straw for many people. I think that could be something that leads to Ohio being the state that kicks it off, honestly. And then you'd have other states basically follow us is what it would be then. And it kind of leads back to something I was watching the other day, which was something with The Faculty, which is ironically enough about, an alien invasion happens through the state of Ohio is what it would be then. So, and as they were saying, it's like, yeah, would you go to Washington, D.C. or would you come in the back door? And it's like, yeah, all the aliens will always come in the back door, bro. So, anyway. By the way, that was a direct quote from the movie. Obviously, I'm also making a sexual innuendo and joke about that whole thing. So, it is what it is, man. Because, again, we're just trying to make a laugh here is what it is, man. Because, again, these fucking leftists are a bunch of ass clowns, dude. But, anyway, so to go to Reddit here for a few minutes and talk about some of the comments that people left here on this whole thing and discuss the whole deal, here's what it is. So, you had this person about a day ago start out with, they're starting to talk about Civil War, said I just overheard some family members casually mentioning that if the abortion amendment passes in November, then they might have to fight a civil war because there will be no more peaceful options left. I'm hoping it's just hyperbole, but it's legitimately concerning to me and I don't know what to do. Well, here's a wild idea. Stop killing fucking children up to the moment of birth in the womb, you fucking piece of shit demonic cunts. How about that? How about that? Seriously. Like, it's really not that hard of a situation, dude. Stop offing innocent human life in the womb. Stop committing mass genocide that's already taken over 60 million American lives in the last 50 years. Seriously, man. We wouldn't need any kind of fucking immigration in this country if 60 plus million Americans between 1973 and 2020 would have been able to survive. That's insane, dude. You're talking about literal genocide to the amount where you have many, many generations of warfare happening. World wars, for God's sakes, didn't have many dead bodies in them, dude. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, what the fuck? And they want to sit there and act like they're right as the ones that are violent, dude. No, offing human life in mass genocidal fucking numbers, that's violent. That's fascism. That's fucking dictatorships. That's everything, dude. That's Nazism is what it is in a nutshell right there, dude. That's Hitlerian level shit. And as the title suggests here with the red flag law thing, we're going to talk about some of the comments that prove exactly why red flag laws need to be outlawed nationwide at this point. So, anyway. Continuing back on here. This person said, if it gets to the point where you seriously think they will harm people versus just spouting off, consider reporting it to the FBI tip line. Yeah, that's called fascism, dickhead. That's called you coward-ass pussy leftists sitting there and trying to weaponize the state against anybody that does not share political views of baby death is what it is. And then as this other asshole said, yeah, let the FBI deal with it. At least they'll be on a list. Like, dude, I swear to fucking God, like, You want to talk about the people that would have been Nazi collaborators in Nazi Germany? It's every fucking leftist at this point, dude. Every leftist on these social media sites they're saying shit like that about let the fucking, actual federally corrupt as fuck Alfred agencies deal with it and put them on lists. It just blows me away, man. Which, by the way, these are the same fucking piece of shit cunts who, if red flag laws had existed in Ohio 4 years ago and the Democrats tried to push them after Dayton, people like me would be in jail right now on bullshit trumped up charges trying to fight to get our gun rights back in this state. But thank fucking God, Republican Party had the balls to actually, quote unquote, gerrymander this state to the point where they actually have a supermajority in our state house right now, dude. And we're protecting our shit for the last half a decade or so. Now, granted, they might not be that good of people either. I don't think they are, honestly. I think a lot of them are corrupt as fuck, just along with the Democrat Party entirely. But that's the entire point, though. The entire Democrat Party that currently exists at a state level in Ohio, from the state house to the state senate, etc., should all be in prison right now for deprivation of rights and control of law against every single Ohioan for trying to steal our gun rights, for literally pushing continuously in the last 3 to 4 general assemblies mass murder amendments to murder kids in the womb to the moment of birth, to try to sterilize kids with gender transitioning drugs, etc., etc. The exact shit they're trying to push this fucking ballot issue in November. Because they know that they couldn't get it in the General Assembly, because they know they never will, dude, because you're not going to have fucking, 20, 30-something Republicans jump on your fucking side and some bullshit thing like that. They're going to be like, no, fuck you, get the fuck out of my face with that shit. And that's what they told them for the last 4 to 5 years now. And so you've had these assholes keep trying to push this shit, and now they realize, like, oh, well, they did it in Michigan by ballot issue and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and copy and paste that shit now and do it the same thing here. And that's exactly what they did. And that's exactly why the Board of Elections here in the state of Ohio that actually approved the shit as one ballot issue should all be looked into, investigated, and possibly in jail right now for that shit, because of the fact that they most likely took cash bribes or some kind of other bribery thing to pass as a single issue when it was clearly multiple issues of what it is. It's an issue about abortion. It's an issue about child sterilization with hormone drugs. It's an issue about parental rights. And it's at least one other issue in there as well, for that matter. So it's like 3 to 4 different amendments is what it should have been, not just one amendment. It should have been amendments 1, 2, 3, 4, basically. So I'm just hoping, honestly, like given the numbers and stuff like that we have for issue 1 and how many people were hoodwinked and lied to and stuff like that on the right to basically vote it down, I'm just hoping those people will come back, see the light is what it is, and realize, like, okay, I'm obviously against power grabs, that's why I voted against issue 1 kind of thing is what it would be for these people. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to allow these leftists to get abortion on demand at the moment of birth. I'm not going to allow them to gender transition my child. I'm not going to allow them to fucking sterilize my child, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to allow them to sterilize an entire generation of kids because they're sick fucking demonic pieces of shit, dude. And hopefully that's what it is, honestly, at the end of the day. And you have enough people, a few 100,000 the other ways it would be, and you'd have that shit voted down like, 54, 55% or whatever the case be, to 45% maybe. So anyway, that being said, if it doesn't get voted down, like, people like me are going to do it the smart way, man. We'll take that shit to court, honestly, if we have to. Because I honestly, right now, I plan on suing the shit out of these fucking people that are behind that crappy ass amendment, dude, if it actually does somehow pass. Because I know for a fact it's never going to pass legally, is what it is, though. If nothing else, that would be me exposing voter fraud in the state. Because the only way that passes, like, legitimately, I was talking before, dude, is massive voter fraud. You would have to have literally tens of thousands to at least 1 million people that are dead or illegal in the state voting for that fucking Democratic amendment, is what it would be. The same people that voted for Sherrod Brown in 2018 and helped him get back into office that were, purged off of our voter rolls previously to that. And then put back on by his judge buddy a couple days before the election cycle. And they immediately won by that 250, 300,000 vote is what it was then. So, anyway. But going back to some of the other comments here, again, going back to the fascist fucks of the leftist echo chamber that is Reddit/Reddit Ohio. This person that was the original poster said, they're not violent people at all, so I think they're personally just spouting off because of the issue 1 loss. But if it's indicative of what other people in their movement are thinking, then it's certainly not good. I love when they say their movement. What do you mean? Like the Republican Party as a movement? Are you talking about the Conservative Party as a movement? Are you talking about like the MAGA Trump supporter people as a Trump movement, whatever the case be, or what are you talking about there, dude? Because that's another thing. Like, it's such a broad brush thing as well. For that matter, it's like, yeah, dude. And the thing is, most of the time it's just talk, dude. It's literally, like I said here, for me right now, it's just talk, dude, for real. It's me discussing this shit so that people out there, if something does pop off, because you know who's going to pop it off, by the way. It's not going to be some fucking right-winger popping shit off, dude. It's going to be some fucking leftist piece of shit who is going to murder some people on the right is what it's going to be, dude. The same way they did in Dayton, the same way they've done in every other massacre in this country, honestly. When you look at almost everyone that's happened in the last 10 years or so that's not fucking directly tied to psych drugs and stuff like that, it's all a bunch of leftist turds that are doing this shit, dude. From Dayton to Nashville to fucking everywhere in between, basically, is what it is there. You know, Gilroy Garlic Festival is another one of those ones. El Paso is another one of those ones, honestly, even. So, anyway. I would even go as far as to say the top supermarket was a mix between MK Ultra and sort of lefty is what it was, dude. Because the thing with that guy was, like, that dude was 100% federally handled is what it was, dude. Like, that was such a fucking lie, because when you look at the shit when they were talking about Discord and stuff like that, that was, by the way, that was a way for the U.S. government to try to target Discord as a social media site and try to basically outlaw them as what it would be then for that bullshit. Even though when you look at the whole thing, what that dude's so-called manifesto was, it was nothing more than a literal, word-for-word, copied and pasted document on the fucking Discord there of the guy who committed the Christchurch massacre in New Zealand. It was just them copying and pasting that shit and then claiming, oh, this guy wrote this. He didn't write shit, motherfucker. You had some FBI fuckboy who was his handler there, who, by the way, I'm pretty sure was the dude who was, like, there that day or like there the next day or whatever the case be, that was supposed to be like part of his lawyer team or something, who was most likely the one that put that shit in that Discord is what I'm guessing, honestly, dude. And then somehow did some, like, shady hacker shit with the federal government then, where they had some hacker dude there or whatever the case be, like sort of backdating it and then putting it under somebody else's username somehow or something like that, which is not that hard to do, honestly, if you have the hacking skills and stuff like that. Like, all you would do is basically just, like, hack into somebody's account and just post that shit in their name or whatever, and then be like, oh, look, they totally did this. It's like, they didn't do shit, motherfucker. So, anyway. Moving on, though. Getting back on here. As this idiot responded back here, named Raven something or other, said, they're talking about civil war, so that sort of negates they're not violent people at all, doesn't it? No, it actually doesn't, you dickless fucking loser retard. All it shows is that you're a dumb motherfucker who shouldn't have voting rights in the state of this country. And then you're probably a teenage little bitch is what it is, I'm guessing. And then this other person said, yeah, I think way too often people give these people the benefit of the doubt up until the moment that they decide to harm someone. It's like how they inevitably how after some psycho shoots up the school, their family members are all like, he was such a sweet boy, and later it's found out the guy was stockpiling weapons and hinting about it for months. And that's when I actually called that person out myself, and I was like, oh, you mean like the BLM/Antifa affiliated Dayton mass shooter, who was a violent leftist terrorist piece of shit, a literal communist/socialist by his own admission, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders supported by his own admission, a guy who should have been in prison in this state in 2012 for rape and killings he committed in high school, but yet was given a slap on the wrist by the cops because most likely his parents bribed a fucking cop is what it was. Like a high-level, police chief/sheriff, whatever it was there to drop the fucking charges, or even a DA for that matter, for that to not prosecute then. And yeah, and then of course when you look at that guy's whole timeline of events there, that piece of shit that did Dayton, it was like a year or so before that, or the year leading up to the actual massacre, where he was dating some chick who was in an open relationship with him and then some guy that she was actually engaged to. She actually drove him to some girl's house that was an ex of his. And he apparently, according to all the information I found out about this, had taken a note or a letter or something and taped it to this girl's door. And inside the letter was basically a death threat. And he told this chick that after he got back in the vehicle. He's like, oh, yeah, thanks for bringing me here so I can put that death threat on this girl's door or whatever. And yet she did nothing to report him to the fucking local authorities here. His parents have done nothing. His parents did nothing at the time to report him to local authorities there because, again, they bribed the fucking cops before that, probably. Most likely. Allegedly. Gotta say allegedly so I don't get sued is what it is. But, I'd love to see them try to sue me, actually, because I can't see the shit album and actually expose everything. That's what would be there. All the shit in various affidavits and stuff like that throughout the trials would be then. So, anyway, though. But yeah, so you basically had this dude who was like a violent threat, who, by his own admission, was also like hearing voices and shit, talking about being schizophrenic and stuff like that, which, by the way, at that point, should have also been a disqualifier from being able to buy weapons in this country, because you're fucking a lunatic is what it is. You're like psychotically not, all there is what it would be then. And as far as I'm aware, I think he was actually institutionalized at one point, which again should have disqualified him as well for that matter, but because he was underage and, juvenile record stuff sealed and shit like that, they allowed it to basically go buy weapons then is what it was. So yeah, that dude was a violent fucking threat the entire time. But yet, these leftists want to act as if it's not their people doing like 90% of this shit is what it is. Like, seriously, if you break it down with political affiliation, it's almost always the left doing this stuff, dude. And if it's not, it's directly tied to the government then. Like, it's not a bunch of right-wingers going out there and being like, oh, I'm going to go shoot up a fucking pride parade today or something like that. No, it's fucking leftist nutcases going out there and being like, well, this is a pretty soft target right here, this gun-free zone elementary school and stuff like that, where most likely nobody's going to shoot back at me. And, of course, in the case of Nashville there, that motherfucker literally had to shoot into the fucking glass windows of the school to even get into the fucking school to do that massacre. And yet, meanwhile, what's it been now? 3 months, 4 months now since that happened, or longer even, potentially? We still have yet to see the transfesto. And we never will, because they're suppressing that shit forever, because we all know it's in it, man. It's a leftist ideologue who was a fucking nutcase lunatic who should have been a complete prohibited person in this country, should have never had access to any kind of weaponry at all in this nation, should have been in a fucking nut house someplace for the rest of their life, most likely, and yet was allowed to be walking free and was just a complete psychopath. And then went and killed a bunch of Christian kids. Which, by the way, how is that not a religious hate crime at that point? I mean that seriously. Like, how is that not targeted hate crimes? How is this not being discussed 24/7 in mainstream media as a religious hate monger? When you killed a bunch of Christians, dude. You know goddamn well if this had been them doing some Christchurch shit and killing a bunch of Muslim people, dude, that would be 24/7 news coverage for the next 8 years of our lives, pretty much. Hell, if it was a fucking synagogue that they had shot up and it was a bunch of Jewish people they killed, same fucking thing there. But yet, because it was a bunch of white Christian kids and a bunch of white adults, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the janitor guy was actually a minority, he was a black dude, if I'm not mistaken, who was the reason why more kids didn't get killed, because he actually tried to take down the fucking shooter there without being armed himself, was what it was. That guy was a hero. He died as a fucking hero is what it was, dude. We'll actually talk about that one, by the way, next year, because I'm going to start doing a series of various tragedies and stuff in this country where we remember those that were, killed and lost their lives too early is what it was in them. So on the first anniversary of Nashville in 2024, we will be doing a special episode of something. I'm not sure if it'll be a Grandstand, if it'll be a Buckshot Thursday, a Freedom Friday, or it'll be on this channel, but it'll be something. It might just be called Remembering Nashville 1 year later or something, for all that matter. So anyway, but yeah, the entire point is, though, you had this sick piece of shit, clearly fucked in the head, just looking to kill people, and they even admitted, by the way, in the stuff that actually was released, the little bit of coverage that the mainstream media gave is what it was for the actual release of different information that the cops have found and stuff like that, that they were even looking into doing a different school that day as well, but yet they realized that school was actually armed and had a more hardened security at it versus Covenant that did not. So what do? They went to the school that was unarmed to go commit their massacre then. That being said, I'm pretty sure that the other school that they were looking at too was also a Christian / religious institution. That's what it was there. It just wasn't a private one. It was like a public one or whatever then. So, yeah. Either way, it's just fucked up, man. And that's what I'm saying. But yet, like I said, months later, they still refuse to release the actual manifesto this motherfucker left behind. Because again, they know exactly what it would do. It would rile people the fuck up and be like, yeah, this is fucking bullshit. Like, put these fucking people away where they belong is what it is, dude. So, yeah, at this point, I'm really just like, fuck the left entirely, dude. And then, of course, you have, going back to the comment section, you have this turd sandwich right here saying, yeah, if these people start mentioning concrete plans and have firearms, it's FBI time. Again, you are the fascist fucks of society, leftists. It's not people on the right. It's you fucking douchebags that are sitting there trying to weaponize the state against the rest of us is what it is. Just like you fucking turd-burgling pieces of shit did 4 years ago with fucking my federal swatting there over the what-if scenario involving Andrew Yang's bitch ass. And then, of course, you got this fuck knuckle here, which is, let's see what this person's name is here. Kean Reed saying, sadly, I think they settled on Civil War a long time ago. They've just been collecting grievances to sell it enough over all these years. Yeah, that's called something you leftist people do, by the way. And by the way, again, you want to sit there and act as if the right is the ones doing Civil War here, dude, or talking about committing like Civil War, whatever the case be. Yet you leftists have done over 50 insurrections at state houses this year alone. Things that would technically qualify as an insurrection at every single level all over the United States in many different states' capitals over the last 8 months or so right now. And I can even say going back to December of 2022 even, when you had the fucking Mama's Man Action and other stupid fucking leftist cunts like, what's that one woman's name? Tamara Wilson, I think she was the one running against Jim Jordan. And then one of these other dumb bitches, Shannon Fresh Hour, I think is another one of these dumb hoes or whatever. That was running against one of the Republican guys that are currently in Congress currently. They were the ones bitching about like, oh yeah, let's shut this bitch down. We're basically committing insurrection acts back then in December 2022. While our state house was talking about what then eventually became issue 1 and passing it through the General Assembly is what it was back then. But because they shut that talk down, you know, committing insurrections in the process, that should have been involving every single one of these bitches arrested and losing their fucking voting rights forever is what it is. Because they would not be fucking felons. No, instead of actually arresting them, like, nope, let them go without us. Just slap on the wrist. There's what it is, dude. And then you had a bunch of rhinos come out of the woodwork and being like, yeah, we're not going to vote this through now. We don't need to backlash these stupid fucking cunts in our districts. What it is, dude. Making noise for the rest of us to get reelected next year is what it is then. So, yeah, it's just a bunch of pussy-ass cowards is what it is, dude, on every side of the local aisle right now. And I think that's the reason why we haven't seen something kick off, honestly, in this country. It's because so many people, and that's the thing, right? There is so much talk, but not a lot of fucking follow-through. And I think that's the biggest issue right now. It's like, and it goes back, unfortunately, to what we've seen with January 6th and stuff like that, where you have just this complete government, actual fascist overreach to everything there, where they will sit there and talk about a couple guys meeting each other in a fucking parking lot to just chat, just bullshit or whatever the case be. Maybe have a beer someplace. As seditious conspiracy. You can't fucking prove anything, government. How the fuck are you going to charge any of those guys from Stewart Rhodes, etc., with seditious conspiracy? It's an impossible charge to prove. And for that same matter, it's also kind of impossible to disprove. And I think that's why they charged him with it. Because it's basically that flip side of the coin where it's like impossible to actually prove that they did this shit. And it's also impossible to disprove it and get it overturned then. So yeah, 100% political prison is what it is, dude. Not to mention now you have, speaking of actual fascism in this country and dictatorial powers and stuff like that, you have the fucking asswipes behind the January 6th committee literally destroying evidence in the last few months now that would have exonerated, I think it's like 20 or 50 people that were arrested that day on various charges because they were all innocent people is what it was, dude. They walked into the fucking Capitol with a guided fucking tour of some dickhead fucking Capitol cop letting them in the fucking doors, dude. And then acting as if he's like running to get away from them when in reality he's just like half-ass running it and then turning around, making sure they're following him, and then keeps running a little bit further and then like turning around again, make sure they keep following him and stuff like that. So they can get him on charges is what it is, dude. Seriously. You have like 70-something-year-old grandmothers that walked in there. We're taking pictures of fucking like various artwork and stuff like that. And like statues and busts of like ex-presidents from like, you know, the 1700s and stuff like that. And yet they arrested this woman on obstruction of justice and stuff like that, dude. Like, are you fucking kidding me, bro? It is psychotic, lunatic behavior is what it is, dude. Like, people talk about America being a banana republic now. 100% spot on, man. Because only in a banana republic, only in a theocracy slash authoritarian dictatorship is what it is there, would you have shit like this going on, honestly? So, yeah, it's just completely psychotic, man. Let's see here. This fucking idiot named Reed here said about people collecting grievances and selling enough over the years. So they keep getting angrier and angrier, and none of them can really explain why. Eminem shoes, a Barbie movie, other people's unborn fetuses. You do realize, by the way, that the word fetus is actually Latin for child, right? No, these leftists don't realize that because they're fucking retarded. And they're the worst example of public education in the past 20 years, honestly, dude. Yet, meanwhile, we allow them to have voting rights at 18 years old by default, even though they have been so indoctrinated for the past 12 years of their lives that they are some of the most communist-level shitheads I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. Seriously, there's a reason why you have these kids, you know, 16, 17, 18 years old, etc., into their early 20s and stuff like that, now claiming, oh, I'm a trans man, or I'm a trans woman, or I'm fucking something else now. I'm non-binary, I'm fucking pansexual, I'm gender fluid, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, you're all fucking nuts. For real, dude. Actually, I saw a great meme the other day. It was somebody saying, whenever somebody tells me they're pansexual, this is what I assume, and it was some chick like licking a pan. And then, of course, you had, let me see if I can find that one real quick, actually, because I was looking at something earlier today on my, it's like a story that popped up here earlier that I was looking into, where people were saying something about, shit, where am I now? Actually, since we're here talking about this, I just saw something pop up in the feed that was talking about issue 1 there as well. So we're all going to bring that up to some mainstream media fucking cocksuckers from the Hill. Talking about, ironically, states' rights are crushing GOP's abortion agenda. Oh, you mean like the fucking baby death agenda that you fucking leftists keep trying to push for, you fucking scumbag cunts? Yeah, that's talking about issue 1. Said, why are some Republicans so dissatisfied with democracy? Because we're not a fucking democracy, you stupid fucking cunts in the mainstream media. Like, my God, dude. Like, I swear to fucking, like, I'll tell you what, dude. If I had a fucking time machine right now, I would go back to the day that the Declaration of Independence was signed into law by our founding fathers and be like, wait, stop, boys. We got way to put some else in this shit. In my time in the 2020s, the media is going to be one of the biggest, most corrupt entities ever. You must allow a clause in the First Amendment to strip them of freedom of the press. Because they should be at this point, dude. They're not actual press anymore. every mainstream media outlet is bought and paid for by 6 giant corporations, by the way. That's all proven. It's, I think, like 2 or 3 billionaires that own these 6 giant corporations. So you have every mainstream media outlet from ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, etc., to every newspaper, every news magazine out there, all the websites for the mainstream media, etc., are there, all bought and paid for by 6 giant corporations. So, yeah, the entire point is when they're sitting there bitching and moaning about stuff, they're a fucking bunch of liars, dude. And then continuing on with this Hill article, it said immediately after Ohio voters set an example for strong participation in, quote, direct democracy, while soundly rejecting issue 1, a measure clearly aimed at curtailing abortion, the authoritarian far right was deeply into the blame game. Issue 1's supporters blamed out-of-state dark money groups. Yeah, you mean like Michael Bloomberg and George Soros, so you can directly tie to at least $10 million or more being put into this fucking thing in the last couple weeks before it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the dark money groups you're talking about, you fucking scumbags at the Hill. Stasi Myrick, you opinion contributor. Oh, okay. So this is literally an opinion piece tack at is what it is. It's not even fucking news is what it is. And again, this is why the mainstream media as well should not even be allowed, dude. Should not even be allowed because they're allowing these fucking dickless turds to go around and make stupid ass fucking opinion pieces like this fucking ass clown right here. Let's look this person up actually and see what their fucking dumbass looks like. Oh yeah, that guy looks exactly who I thought he would look like, dude. He's a fucking scumbag sack of shit. I guarantee you this motherfucker is probably one of the people behind the vote, the one person, one vote shit, honestly, dude. Oh, former mayor of Ithaca, New York. Oh, that explains a hell of a lot right there, dude. Yeah, so basically some anti-gunner, anti-life sack of shit fucking beta male douchebag wants to talk about direct democracy and democracy and all this other stupid bullshit. Yeah, fuck you, Stanty Myrick, you fucking scumbag sack of shit. Asshole. I'm not even going to bother reading the rest of this because it's all garbage, dude. It's not even worth it to fucking read it. It's all fucking leftist trash opinion pieces is what it is. It's not news. Anyway. I'm confused what this person meant when they said Eminem shoes. Or were they... okay. That's what the... yeah, I'm not thinking about it. That makes more sense. What they're talking about with that and the Bart movie and everything else, like that's woke culture is what it is, dude. They're talking about the woke garbage there. Because they're talking about the Eminem shoes thing. It's them talking about, I think it was the green Eminem chick or whatever that was supposed to be real feminine and stuff like that. And like heels or something. And then all of a sudden it was them going all woke and shit and being like, oh no, now she's got to wear like these really like weird looking tennis shoes and stuff like that. Make her kind of like, you know, feminist and stuff like that. What it would be then. And it's like, again, it goes back to a thing there, man. Like, it's not the fact that it's about the product in general. It's, you're a fucking candy company. Why are you making stupid ass fucking commercials about any political thing there, dude? How hard is it to make a commercial that just says, hey, M&M's, that's good, buy them. Commercial, done. One kid handing another kid some M&M's out of a bag. Both kids eating some M&M's together. Maybe one kid's white, maybe one kid's black. You know? Boom, everybody likes M&M's. You know, seriously. Like, that's what the fucking gist of any of these corporations wading into anything should be right there, dude. You know, it's kind of like if anything, if Skittles want to do something, it would be like, you know, just have like everybody across the sun or whatever the case be, from like a Christian dude to a Muslim woman to a fucking Jewish dude with a little yarmulke thing on there, etc., all eating some fucking Skittles and be like, taste the rainbow. And yeah, everybody likes Skittles. That's what it'd be, man. Now, granted, there's some people that don't, obviously, and of course, the reason I bring up Skittles specifically is because it's the most woke company nowadays, because now they're partnering with Glad to push fucking trans shit. And specifically, what it is it's some like campaign or whatever. I forget what the corporation is, but it's like some supposed like nonprofit on the left, which they're never nonprofits, by the way. They're all for-profit, fucking disgusting indoctrination centers, what it is. But basically, this particular one is about pushing shit on trans kids. It's for pushing gender surgeries and stuff like that for children. And it's like, why do you still exist as a company again? In fact, why does Skittles still exist as a company anyway, dude? Because you literally have people suing them now over cancer-causing ingredients in their fucking food product. Like, seriously, how is that whole company out of the business right now, dude? And their parent company, which I think is like Mars Inc. or whatever now. How are they not being sued out of fucking business right now as well, for that matter, dude? Actually, for that same matter, why are we allowing, like, it's like 20-something giant corporations to control our entire food supply? Or maybe less than that, I'm thinking about. Maybe like 10 or 12, actually, if even that many. But yeah, it's very few, honestly, dude. When you start looking at that big conglomeration thing or whatever, it's like all these different companies that are just titled like Mars Inc. or it's like some other thing like Tyson Chicken kind of thing or whatever there. And it's like subsidiaries of that or something like that, or like that's a subsidiary of something else is what it is then. It's very disturbing, actually. And then you wonder why we have, like, you know, E. coli outbreaks and listeria outbreaks and stuff like that, and all these recalls of food here in the last, like, 3 to 5 years now. It's because these people's safety standards are shit, dude. First of all, when they're hiring out-of-country illegal aliens that don't wash their fucking hands properly ever to go do their food, you know, packaged meat, whatever it is there. And then you wonder why there's like a E. coli outbreak when these people are literally taking a shit, wiping their fucking ass, not washing their hands, and then going straight back to the line to go fucking, you know, pack meat again. It's like, yeah, dude, there's going to be fucking fecal matter all over the goddamn meat then. Hell, it's even like they did a few years ago when you had, they made some movie about it. I think it was called like Fast Food Nation or whatever, but it was based on a real thing is what it was. And it was about how, you had illegals going into these places like that and butchering the cows and stuff like that. And instead of doing a proper job to butcher, they would literally just like slice the fucking stomach open and it would be just shit running all over the fucking meat there is what it was. And then it was being packaged up to fast food places and stuff like that. Which is still ridiculous, dude. Ironically enough, in that movie, there's actually at least one scene in it that could potentially be described as like eco-terrorism. And again, it was a bunch of leftists doing the shit because they were like, let's free the cows. And the cows didn't want to go anywhere is what it was. They were just like, yeah, fuck you. We're not going through your hole. So, that's funny. But anyway, going back to that fucking idiot's thing there, this Reed person, talking about right-wing people said, they are so desperate for every little aggravation to justify why they feel they must go to war. The truth is, they and their belief system are just incapable with modern society and progress, so they are lashing out at it in revenge. Oh, really? Oh, really, motherfuckers? Incapable of modern society and, quote, progress, yet you fucking so-called progressives are some of the biggest regressive pieces of shit I've ever fucking met in my entire life. That literally want to reinstate fucking segregation at every single level in this country, are already kind of trying to do it now with race-based segregation of graduations and stuff like that in major universities, which, by the way, violate a fuck ton of federal and state laws. But you keep doing it. And then want to sit there and bitch about, like, oh, but the right of the problem. No, you fucking leftists are incapable of shit, dude. And that's the thing I've said many times, dude. When you start realizing stuff with these fucking people, they are the last generations of their bloodlines entirely, because they've already decided to go out there and kill every fucking kid that they could. Like, every one of these chicks has decided to kill every one of these kids that they're potentially pregnant with to keep their bloodline going. You have all these dudes now, since Roe versus Wade's overturning, going and getting vasectomies and stuff like that, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, yeah, so you're basically sterilizing yourselves is what it is now. And then you wonder why your opinion fucking matters at all, dude. By the way, it doesn't after that. If you're going to go out there and sterilize yourself and basically end your bloodline forever, dude, your opinion doesn't matter about shit at that point, man. I don't care if you're a guy or a girl. If you're going to go out there and get a vasectomy, if you're going to go out there and get your tubes tied, whatever it is, your opinion on anything doesn't matter at that point. And especially when you're advocating for the mass genocide of the innocent unborn, dude, you can fuck right up off a cliff, dude, for real. Like, go kick rocks, bitch. The fuck out of my face, get the fuck out of my chats, get the fuck out of everything right there at that point. Because that's the problem with these fucking people, dude. They think they're like, just like that fucking Myrick guy thinks his opinion matters about anything there when he's just some fucking ex-asshole mayor of some fucking shitty town in New York is what it is there. It's like, your opinion doesn't matter about anything, dude. Like, go fucking take your shit back to New York, dude, and leave it the fuck there. Don't be trying to bring that shit to Ohio, dude. Don't be trying to spread your fucking Democrat infection, your fucking parasitic disease into my fucking state, asshole. So, anyway. The reason I say that specifically is because there's a lot of Democrat voters in the state of Ohio right now that moved from New York due to rising costs is what it is. And they wanted more freedom, but yet instead of actually continuing to have the freedom here, just like they do with fucking California, leave California, they take the same bullshit voting with them to a new place, keep voting the same exact goddamn way, and then wonder why when they fuck up the new place, they're like, I don't understand what the problem is. You are the fucking problem, leftists. That's what the fucking problem is. Stop voting for Democrats and fix the fucking solution. That is the solution. Stop voting for Democrats. Vote for anybody else. Republicans, Libertarians, Green Party, any third party for that matter. And you'd be better off in most cases. Unless you're voting for communists and socialists, then you're going to be worse off in most times, actually, because you're going to create literal fucking communist states and socialist states and stuff like that. You're going to have basically larger versions of what Portland and LA, etc. look like right now is what it is, with mass looting and mass shootings and everything else like that. So, anywho. Let's see. This idiot continuing on and finished off here said, at the heart of all of this is a deep and well-earned sense of insecurity. God, this person is so projecting, dude. It's fear, and instead of acting like a normal fucking person without lead poisoning, they want Tucker and Trump to tell them when and where to go to war. By the way, says the people who are actively okay with us spending trillions of dollars in a proxy war in Ukraine that has actively inflated our economy to crazy amounts right now. Where you now have Biden, instead of actually visiting East Palestine and actually dedicating funds to East Palestine's recovery effort, which, by the way, is still dioxins like fucking crazy. Actually, if you go to the network's Twitter account today, I actually called out every single I called out both Democrats and Republicans here, by the way. Called out every single political member of the Republican Party here, from the governor to Secretary of State to AG, every House and Senate Republican, the House Democrats, etc. there, and told them straight up, I was like, get off your fucking worthless asses, fix the problem in East Palestine by doing a oyster mushroom planting initiative, or resign from office en masse, motherfuckers. Because I've had it with these people. It's time for somebody else to take power in this state, honestly, dude. It's time for a bunch of new people again. There's what it is now. Because that's the problem. You'll have most of these people that won't do shit is what it is, dude. When easily, if they really wanted to deal with the dioxides that are in the soil and water in East Palestine, you go over there, you take a shitload of fucking oyster mushrooms, or like the seedlings of them, whatever it is there, and you plant that shit like crazy. And what it's going to do is, as it starts to grow, it's going to suck the dioxins out of the fucking soil and the water too, for that matter. And it's going to clean up the fucking environment naturally. That is a proven fact. And by the way, you can actually eat those oyster mushrooms after the fact. And as far as I'm aware, because the way that they're a fungi and stuff like that, and the way that they absorb those dioxins as like their growth regimen and stuff like that, it basically dispels them out of its own system then. And so you can eat that stuff without the fear of getting like cancers and shit. So you basically have a perfect product right now that would be cheap as shit to do like even a small investment into, and just do massive planting all over that fucking area there. And even on like the outskirts of East Palestine for that matter, like within a 15, 20 mile radius, whatever the case be, plant that shit like crazy, fix the soil problems, fix the water problems, and actually have that place be a livable area again. Not a fucking literal cancer cluster like it is right now, dude. That anybody that stays there for more than a couple of days or so is gonna eventually get some kind of cancer or some kind of lung issues or whatever the case be then. Which we're already seeing develop with a lot of people that live there right now. They're already got like some kind of crazy like coal miner cough or whatever there from just being there for like a few days is what it was. It's just infuriating as hell, dude. It really is. And then to sit there and try to tell people, oh, we moved all the soil out of there. It doesn't matter, dude. It's still contaminated as fuck even after that, dude. And I knew that for a fact because even something I shared earlier today there on Twitter, you had independent soil testing being done there, and it's still toxic levels of shit there. It's why people were wearing gas masks and stuff while doing this stuff, and it was like rebreather stuff that they had to like type like an oxygen tank so they wouldn't be breathing in the fucking bad air quality there is what it is. Now, granted, that being said, not so sure that oyster mushrooms would actually fix the air quality in East Palestine, but at least it would fix the water and the soil problems, though. So you might have to do something else to like do like the air quality stuff, or whatever the case be, or like figure out something to maybe use the mushrooms something where they're there somehow to like, I don't know, like do like a weird sweep of the air then if that be the case then or something. But either way, like it would fix like at least 2/3 of the problem right now with just planting some fucking mushrooms, for God's sakes, dude. That you could then use as an actual edible food source. So yeah, needless to say, I'm pissed. Is what it is, dude. Continuing on with a couple more of these comments, then I think we'll actually do this, guys, right here. Since we're an hour in this already, we'll do this last one here, and then we'll finish off with this. Then there, this guy was basically responding and used the sadly they already said in the Civil War a long time ago. Said, "I am not in the slightest bit worried about an actual civil war. One, they have no army, and two, they're cowards." Says the motherfucking left, who are a bunch of Antifa pussies, whom BLM fucking douchebags, who have to go out there and do a 10-on-1 attack on people just to get an advantage. And by the way, those 10-on-1 attacks, they're never against big-ass people like me that can actually fight back and knock a few of your asses out, honestly. It's against an old woman with a fucking walker and a wheelchair or something like that. Or it's a little kid or some shit, dude, that you try to beat up is what it is. You know, the defenseless and the young in this country is what it really is, honestly. The only cowards are you bunch of fucking pussies. Now, I like to point some out too, by the way. They'll sit there and call right-wing people cowards. Y'all do realize that like 95% of all ex-military are on the right side of history at this point, right? And the ones that aren't are douchebags like Casey Weinstein, never saw a day of combat in his entire worthless-ass fucking life. It was just some cock-knocker fucking lawyer guy in some military base overseas for a couple of years is what it was, and then he claimed to be a military vet. Same thing with a lot of other guys like that. There's a few others in our General Assembly right now here in Ohio that are the same way as what it is as Casey is. They're all Democrat voters. They're all Democrat politicians, by the way. They're also the assholes that always vote against every anti-gun bill and sit there and claim like, oh, but this is totally not constitutional, even though it 100% is. And yet, meanwhile, everything that they push, that they try to claim is constitutional, is 100% unconstitutional. This is all anti-gun stuff. So, anyway. Shit. Just lost where I was at now. Let's see here now. Okay, so let's see. The guy said, right wingers a bunch of cowards. So, okay, here's the thing, right, too, by the way. There is a big, huge difference between cowardice and not wanting to go to prison for stuff. And that's exactly why I think a lot of people on the right have not done anything yet, because they're still waiting for something to pop up, is what it is. Like, that's, and what's funny to me, too, by the way, is they say that they have no army. Dude, you have grassroots armies all over this country right now. The only difference is that they're not technically formed yet, because, again, legally speaking, you cannot have a standing army in this country. That being said, there's quite a few, quote-unquote, right-wing militias out there all across this nation right now, dude. A lot of them exist in Ohio. A hell of a lot exist in Michigan, actually, for that matter. So, yeah. You want to sit there and talk about, like, that stuff, dude? Like, seriously, bro. You'd be surprised how many people are out there, man, that have experience, have firearms training on, like, you dipshits on the left is what it is, dude. That's another thing, too, by the way. The left may own some guns, dude, but it's, like, maybe, like, 10%. The right/center owns, like, 90% of all firearms in this country. So, good luck on that one, motherfuckers, and any kind of civil war that you would be instigating there, leftists. Because you're not going to win that shit, dude, because you're outgunned, like, 9-1 is what it is. So... this is also true, by the way. And the thing is, like, I don't know. Like, it's a factual statement, but it's not 100% accurate in most cases, because yes, there's been issues that have being slide, but it's like I talked with my neighbor guy about a couple years back when they used to live down there. Because I would talk with him about things like that, and he would just be like, yeah, you know, it's like, because obviously, like, he was one of these guys that was very, you know, pro-Trump and definitely America, and he was definitely a patriot and stuff like that. His thing was basically, though, it's like, you know, and I'm like, because I even talked to him, I'm like, you know what, is there a reason why, like, people, you know, like yourself and stuff like that haven't been sort of the de facto leaders, like, in a potential war here is what it is? And he straight up said, he's like, I have a family. He's like, I don't want anything up no wife and kids is what it is. And I think that's the reason with a lot of them, dude. And that's the biggest difference between the right and the left, by the way, is you have right-wing people in many cases, even centrists for that matter as well, for that too, that would kind of like lean right in any kind of like civil war conflict is what it is then. They're the ones actually having families, having children, you know, having a family unit, an actual bonded thing, creating communities out here is what it is. Meanwhile, you got these leftist people that want to sit there and, you know, bitch and moan about during 2020 riots and even past those what it is about like, whose streets are streets? And yet, meanwhile, they'll sit there and live in an apartment building and not even know who any of their neighbors are at all, dude. You know, they'll come out of their little apartment one day or whatever the case be and see somebody they think is like going to hurt them or whatever the case be. It's just like their next door neighbor or some shit because they look aggressive and scary or whatever. And again, they have no sense of actual communities, what it is, dude, because they don't have communities, what it is. They live in these major cities. They go on the internet and have echo chambers like fucking crazy. You know, and I think that's the biggest problem with the divide of this nation right now, truthfully. It's you have these social media sites that are engineered to basically be echo chambers for either political side for that matter. You know, and I feel like truthfully, like Twitter to some extent is, I don't want to say it's right wing at this point, but it's definitely like sort of like leaning right under Elon Musk's leadership now is what it is. But yeah, then you got places like Reddit and like all these different subreddits that are just total leftist echo chambers where they will downvote any opposing view, commit actual fascism in the process. Don't understand the irony of that, by the way, in their own heads. And then we'll sit there and bitch and moan about like, oh no, but it's the right that are the problem here. And it's like, dude, you will seriously, a fucking year ago almost, I announced my political run for Stark County Commissioner next year. I said then I wanted to do 10 different debates on various topics, ranging from gun rights to abortion to anything in between. Anybody could come on there, pick any of the topics, and have an actual debate with me. You know how many people have actually responded to me on the left for any kind of debate? Fucking zero. Because that's the thing, dude. That's the real truth. These people are pussies. They are fucking actual cowards. And they will never have a real debate with someone like myself who actually has the facts and the knowledge on our fucking side because they know they get trounced in 5 minutes or less in that debate. And it pisses me off because truthfully, like, I need the debate skills right now to engage against other people, dude, to get myself in more of a better mindset so where I don't go, you know, fucking and cunts and shitting and everything else like that all the time and have like a more, you know, moderate stance of like better, I guess, sounding better educated, I guess is what the best terminology would be there. You know, remove all the cursing there is what it would be. So, like, obviously I'm not going to be the suit and tie guy, but still, it's like, the entire point is it's like, I could use some stuff to sharpen my skills, would it be, man. And yet nobody will debate me from the left because, again, they're a bunch of cowards. Now, granted, I made it clear about a month or two ago. At this point, like, would I really want some random leftist coming on this channel and potentially giving me channel strikes? Fuck no. And that's exactly why if I was going to do something with these people, it would have to be something where it would be an actual recorded debate that I later upload to the channel or something like that. So if they try to do, like, I would have to go through it and do like some stuff where it'd be like, hey, if they're going to try to derail stuff and I know for a fact they're giving me a channel strike, like, yeah, I'm going to edit that little piece out over then. So, or if nothing else, maybe what I might do instead of doing that, because then again, they try to accuse me of like selective editing and stuff like that. So what I might actually do is just say, fuck it. I would just take that debate and upload the entire thing, the original, everything in that, to Reddit. And then maybe just do like a small like little video on the channel here and like do like, oh yeah, you know, if you want to see this debate with me versus whoever, then it's here on Reddit, you know, link in the description or whatever the case be then, or check out the Reddit channel on there and stuff like that or something like that. So that way they couldn't be like, oh, but you're editing stuff out of context or whatever. It's like, no, I didn't, dude. I put it up as is. Just happened to be uploaded to the channel there is what it was. So, let's see here now. Continuing back to that dipshit's comment, though, that Lord Robin. Fucking idiots. Let's see here now. Yeah, so they have saying the right has no army and two, they're cowards. They only fight when they think it's in the bag. Just look at how January 6th played out. Oh, you mean the fucking fake ass insurrection that you leftists will not let go over a year later now? Or sorry, I think it's almost 2 years later now, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it actually? No, I don't think now. Yeah, it would have been January 6th, 2021. So it would have been, yeah, over 2 years now. 2.5 years now. And you fuckers still won't let go now, dude. And then they continued on, claiming a big riot of Trump supporters who believe their dear leader would do anything to protect them, including calling out the military. Okay, so first of all, jackass, what you're really talking about is how many fucking actual Fed boys were part of that whole thing. Which, by the way, it's now been proven 2.5 years later that there was a shitload of them there that day. In the literal dozens to hundreds, if that matter. And they were the ones doing a lot of that shit actually to begin with, dude. A lot of the destruction and everything else like that. Let's see. This idiot continued on, said they believed all the power of authority would defect to their side. When they didn't happen, they all left. And when it became clear that their consequences were of their actions, suddenly almost none of them were eager to fight for round two. Oh, you mean the political prisons? When they put in political prison for bullshit, you fucking douche. And it said every other call to go to Washington to support Trump got meager turnouts. Said they talk a big fight, but they're cosplaying cowards who would fold and run at the first sign of trouble. Says the pussy-ass leftist who anytime a gunshot rings out will run like fucking cowards, dude. And yet, meanwhile, in the same vein of things, the same kind of people, by the way, on that one, there was a concert over the weekend by, I forget what the guy's name was, Little Dirk or something stupid like that, where I guess apparently there was a mass shooting that happened at it, or at least like some gangbanger opened fire on the crowd or whatever then. And you had people being like, active shooter, active shooter. Half the fucking concert goers ran to the merchandise stand and started stealing shit. They were just jumping the counters and going back there and grabbing a bunch of t-shirts and then jumping back over and running off of them. It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, that's the left in a nutshell, by the way. It's either dipshit cowards or thieves. So, pussies that will talk a lot of... Here, actually, another one. Pussies that will talk a lot of shit on the internet but never actually say it to your fucking face in real life. Because they would never actually be able to handle the consequences of an actual fight then. Because literally, 100% of these people never had a real fight in their real lives, dude. So, anyway, continuing back on with the rest of this bullshit thing this guy was saying here, it said, now, what I am terrified of is right-wing terrorist strikes. When they're too big a coward to fight in the open, the first fallback is pipe bombs. Expect a lot of that. Okay, so I just assume that this person is now going to do pipe bombing in this country. Fed boys out there might be listening to this right now. Lord Robin -- RM on Reddit is now talking about pipe bombs in a potential civil war. Probably should look into that person and maybe give them an FBI knock. Just saying, man. Because if they're going to, that's the thing, right? Like, people talk about escalation and stuff like that. Nobody's saying anything about anything, dude. You're actively bringing in the term pipe bomb to that whole thing. Which makes me wonder, like, does that individual have an anarchist cookbooks in place that actually tell you how to make that stuff? Wouldn't surprise me. Because that's the thing, right? You're looking at Antifa and stuff like that, dude. Like, a lot of those people, they have shit like that. They actually have the ability to do stuff like that because they will be the ones that covet that kind of material is what it is, man. And what's ironic is, when you go back into history and stuff like that, when you have people that were doing, like, pipe bomb attacks and stuff like that, dude, it was never really right-wing people. It was always sort of like leftist or centrist people is what it was there. Or it was like Fed handle people is what it would be then. Which, again, would be falling to, like, the left/center is what it would be then. So, actually, interestingly enough, even the guy that did the Unabomber, that was known as the Unabomber there, even he was basically proven to be, like, some weird, like, possible, like, MK Ultra asset recently because I guess there's photos of him in, I think it was, like, the late 70s or something. at some summer camp, and in that same picture with him is a picture of Jeffrey Epstein. So it was those two guys going to summer camp together. Very creepy, actually. The irony actually is the guy that was the Unabomber, he, I believe, had left like a manifesto or something behind that explained like a lot of stuff that we're actually seeing right now is what it is on the left is what it'll be there. And that's what he was basically trying to call out. The problem was that he kind of went, sort of completely insane is what it was. And instead of being able to express his, thoughts and things through action, legislatively or, running for office or whatever the case be, he went like to the crazy ass extreme of like just doing like actual terrorism. So, yeah. And that's another thing, too, that I want to mention as well in this one. So, the double standard of the left is what it is, dude. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, they'll sit there and talk shit about anything the right ever does, but yet if they do the exact same thing, oh, no, it's perfectly fine. No, it's not, dude. If you're going to sit there and call this thing right-wing terrorism, then when some leftist does it, it's fucking left-wing terrorism. Like, seriously. Or if it's some, like, how they want to shit talk that George Santos guy and be like, oh, but he is such a piece of crap because he like lied about something, whatever the case be. Yet meanwhile, you have Democrats who have lied about their entire fucking lives, like Ilhan Omar, etc. there. And yet they're still sitting in Congress, even though they shouldn't even be allowed to hold office in this country due to the fact they're fucking foreign nationals. So, yeah, it's just insane to me, dude, entirely. It really is just infuriating, honestly, man. And that's why, truthfully, I think, honestly, we would just be better off with this country right now with just a balkanization event. And I've talked about that before, honestly. You can make it happen where it would just be, you would just have everybody sort of left goes that way, we go this way on the right, and, both sides basically take half the country is what it'll be then, and then we can all have a peaceful divorce is what it is, man. But that's the thing, right? The left will never let it get there is what it is, dude. Because they will try to do some shit that kicks off actual violence in this country. Because that's all they know, for that matter. Actually, I was watching a show yesterday where it's one of the new competition survival series out there. It's called Fight to Survive. And it has a bunch of people in it from Naked and Afraid, Survivor. I know there's at least one guy from Alone in it, and then like some other people as well, for that matter. And you have this one girl who... And this really goes to show, like, the entitlement generation of our society on the left especially is what it is with welfare queens and shit. So you have this black girl named Missy who was one of these survivor people is what it was. You had they had basically formed into, like, sort of like two tribes is what it was, where it seemed like the one tribe was, like, a lot of the white contestants and then, like, a couple of minority people there is what it was that were kind of sick of the other side is what it was there. And then you had the other side that was, like, this Muslim chick who was, like, a de facto leader, that Missy girl, this dude named Jay, who's an American Ninja Warrior guy, who is some kind of, I'm not sure which country it was there, like some kind of Spanish-looking dude or whatever then, et cetera, et cetera. And so what's interesting to me about this competition series is you can have anybody at any time try to go for other people's resources, and you have to go beat a drum is what it is to, like, declare war on that thing or whatever then, and, like, challenge them for it. And to me, it's like, okay, that's cool. So you have people who are holding different items that are obviously of different genders. So you should have a girl fight a guy then. If a girl's declaring war on that or whatever, have her fight the guy for it then. No. They put in some bullshit clause then. And if it's like, oh, if it's a chick going after some dude's item, now you have to pick a dude for your side and they get to pick a chick for their side. And you all fighting like a duel or whatever it is for like double people or whatever there, like 4 people instead of 2. And that's what it really is, dude. It's her knowing for a fact that she would get her ass kicked by this dude in an actual like battle for the resource then. And so instead of having the guy actually be the one to beat the drum and actually fight one-on-one with this other dude, they had to basically fight doubles and then use all kind of fucked up tactics and like kick people in the face and shit like that during the thing to like steal his shit then. And then one thing I thought was interesting was the item in general that she was trying to go after was a spear to use to catch fish and stuff. Because she was bitching about how the other people in the other tribe were not giving her fish and stuff like that. Not that she was like, oh, I want the spear so I can go fishing myself. It's, oh no, this dude over here that's actually out there spearing fish and then tossing them up to the bank for people to cook on a fire over there, they just won't give me any of those cooked fish. And that's what it is, dude. It's the fucking entitlement generation. And then what's even more fucked up about that chick was she was bitching about like, oh, I didn't want to be violent. They turned me to violence. No, bitch, you fucking chose violence because you knew for a fact that you were all butthurt because they weren't fucking feeding your lazy ass. And instead of going out there and actually being a real survivalist and having actual fucking skill sets to survive on your own, no, you're going to be like, please, sir, I want some more. Please give me some fucking handouts from life. Seriously, in a grid down, this bitch wouldn't survive a fucking day before she would be thrown to the fucking wayside, dude. And I guarantee her ass would be dead within a week, honestly, in that kind of case. Because she would either piss off the wrong person in some major city that she probably lives in there in real life, or it would be something where it would be just her getting into conflicts with people, and then just, again, they would just stomp her ass out is what it would be. And most likely in that case, it'd be a black-on-black crime, honestly. So, I mean, hell, we're already seeing that nowadays at the grid up, for God's sakes, in major cities, dude, where you have just constant fucking black-on-black crime like crazy. Seriously. Washington, D.C. in the past, what is it now, 2 weeks or something like that? You've had like 11 or 12 black-on-black murders there, and the mainstream media isn't talking a thing about it at all, dude. Like, are you kidding me, dude? Like, that should be wall-to-wall mainstream media coverage right now, man. You got 12 people killed in that, like, exactly like that many day time span there in Washington, D.C., supposedly the safest place in America, the actual place where our federal government does business and stuff like that. Like, Jesus Christ, man. But nope, just let it fly, man. No, it's fine. Nothing to see here. Let's keep moving. Oh, some white supremacy over there. Okay, cool. Let's talk about white supremacy now, mainstream media. That you fucking make up all the time. Not talk about the actual problem with this country right now. So, which by the way, it happens to be the same people. They're all stealing shit every major city in this country right now. So, anywho, they're all leftists too, by the way, or at least they may not be like 100% like Democrat voters and stuff like that, but they're definitely supported by the Democrat voter base is what it is, because it's the left that's always cucking out for these people and being like, you got retards like AOC being like, oh, they just need some bread to feed their families. Yeah, a Gucci handbag and Gucci sunglasses isn't bread, you stupid cunt. A Coach purse is not bread, you dumbass. A Louis Vuitton bag is not fucking bread. 15 fucking iPhones in their pockets is not bread, you dumbass. If they were actually hungry and were going into a grocery store and stealing, I don't know, a big-ass bag of chips, a loaf of bread, and some fucking bologna, I can understand that. They're not. They're going to high-end retail shops or shoe stores and stealing a bunch of shit from these places, dude, that they can then sell later on to fuel what the fuck ever. You know? Go buy drugs, go do other crimes, whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't matter, honestly. Because, again, they're incentivized by people like you, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that are pushing for this crap. And then you wonder why you have entire videos coming out on and people's entire channels on YouTube and Twitter and everything else like that dedicated to these things, where you're just showing random 7-Elevens and random Walgreens and stuff like that, where every fucking item is behind some kind of plexiglass where you have to unlock the damn thing for people to get something out of it. And you still have these people going in there and ripping the motherfuckers open and stealing the shit and walking out with it. You know, and that's what's crazy to me too, as well, for that matter, with the mainstream media. Even you had, I forget which channel it was, if it was like CBS or who it was there, like the mainstream affiliates there. They had gone to, I want to say it was someplace in San Francisco, where it was like a local Walgreens that had already been robbed or something like that a few times that month. And they were just basically trying to do like the news coverage for it and be like, you know, there's an epidemic of crime going on here and stuff like that. Like, how do we fix this shit or whatever? While they were there, in like an hour time span, there was 4 different robberies that happened on their fucking watch, dude. Of people walking in there and just stealing stuff and walking out with it. Like, one of them, legitimately, it was as they were setting up and getting the camera ready to roll that somebody was just walking past them stealing shit. So it was like a minute after they had shown up there, you already had somebody robbing the fucking place. But keep on voting for Democrats and see how far that gets you. Like, seriously, bro. Again, this is why we won that. This is why we on the right want a national divorce so badly. Because like, seriously, for me personally, I don't want it to come to violence, dude. I just want you fucking leftists gone. I want you out of my fucking state and out of my fucking country, honestly, personally. Like, go find another nation and fucking fuck it up, man. Let us fix America with your asses not here is what it would be then. Honestly, seriously, if we could take a bunch of people from Europe, different European countries, Britain, England, France, Sweden, Germany, all those places like that, dude, that actually want to have a better life, and exchange them either one for one or like a couple for one, the opposite way is what it would be then. And you would have all these people that used to have American citizenship kicked out, that are a bunch of leftist voters and stuff like that. And you have a bunch of people coming in here that actually give a fuck about, wanting a good place to live again and not be having their nations fucked over. And we just have America be a bastion for, legitimate Americanism and patriotism and stuff like that again. We would have such a better country right now, dude. And again, you would just, one for one or like a couple for one, and every person that would get tossed out, they would exchange their citizenship with one of these people from another country, is what it would be then. And our country would be so much better off at the end of the day. And I'm not even just talking about just European nations for that matter either, dude. Like, I know for a fact that there's some good people in, like, South Africa, for that matter, that would be slaughtered just for, being on the side of the white people that are farmers being killed there, man. Whether it be Indian people, whether it be some blacks and stuff over there, etc. Like, yeah, bring those people here too as well. Exchange them with some of the people that hate this fucking country so much. And see how they do in South Africa then. I guarantee a bunch of them would be begging and be like, oh, please bring back to America. I don't want to die over here in South Africa. It's like, too late, motherfucker. You chose your fate. So, seriously, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would just love to see something like that. But unfortunately, it's never going to happen. And that's what it is. Like, the longer we go as a country, the more these leftist jerk-offs that are some of the progressives are actually the most regressive people in America, trying to take us back to like the Klan days of America and stuff like that, they're going to be the ones that take us to a violent civil war, a bloody conflict, etc. I'm not down for that, dude, but I'm also not going to roll over and die for that matter either. I don't think anybody else is for that matter either, dude. And that's the thing, right? You look at history, you look at historical fact in this country for the last 30, 40 years or so, give or take, when it comes to gun rights and stuff. People on the right are not great when it comes to being the aggressor, being the one who throws the first punch, etc. there. But we are great on the defense. We are great at blocking that punch and knocking back is what it is. And every single time, whether it comes to a court battle for 2A rights, we've won that shit. Whether it comes to various legal battles on other stuff, we've won a lot of those too as well, for that matter. Freedom of speech, etc., etc. And that's why the left is so butthurt right now, dude. Because again, they know that they're losing at every single level, so they're grasping for fucking straws. They're literally grasping at like the last little bit of fucking power they possibly could have. And they realize it's a state constitutions now. But they don't have the actual power. They don't have the actual finances to do it themselves. So what do? They go and find actual outside special interest groups like fucking Everytown / Bloomberg, ACLU through George Soros, etc., etc. And they have them fund this shit. Just like how Soros and Bloomberg both funded the Vote No campaign. Just like how they're funding the abortion shit here in November, etc., etc. So, anyway. What are we talking about here? Vivek Ramaswamy. I actually talked to some people about that guy recently. Like, because this one dude was pointing out something about him being like next Obama kind of type or whatever, where it's just like, don't trust people that say everything you want to hear or whatever. And I've kind of felt about that way about Vivek from the start, honestly. It's like, where it's sort of like the globalist puppet, but he wants to claim he's not or whatever then. And I still don't know where this guy lies is the problem, man. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, again, it goes back to what I was said on the channel before. It's like the old battered wife syndrome kind of thing, where it's like, dude just puts his hand up to take a drink of water, whatever the case be, and she's like, because he thinks about the hitters again is what it is. And it's like, I've been hurt so many times in the past politically. Like, I don't know what to trust anymore, dude. Like, I want to believe that Vivek is on the level, but it's like, I also don't want a fucking dictator in the future is what it is. And I feel like, honestly, just like Yang could have been, I think Vivek could be that guy, honestly. And that's a sad fact of the matter. And it's like, I don't want to be the person that somebody looks back on and be like, why did you help do this, dude? Because I'd feel personally responsible for that too, by the way. If something did happen where Vivek Ramaswamy got into office or whatever as presidency, and then like 10 minutes later became like full-blown dictator and stuff like that, declaring like martial law and some other shit, like I would feel personally responsible if I voted for that dude and been like, fuck, I knew it was too good to be true. And that's why it kind of hurts me to like say like I really don't want to endorse the guy, but like I like what he's saying, but like again, it's like it could be like a long grift kind of thing. So it's like I'm really not sure. Like I like a lot of the shit he's saying when it comes to, you know, anything from what was said here about, you know, work/merit-based immigration systems, etc., and other things like that is what it is, you know, or even like the raising the voting age from like 18 to 25, but then you'd have like the caveats in there where it would be like, yeah, or you could have these people go be like military service for a year or two, or go do like some Habitat for Humanity equivalent kind of thing or whatever then, and get some actual, you know, real life experience before they go out there and have voting rights to be then. I like that stuff, honestly, because personally, I would possibly run on that stuff for office as well, dude. If I'm gonna do a serious run, if we actually make, here's the thing, if we actually make it to 2026 here without something popping off in this country, I plan on running for Ohio governor, dude, and I plan on running on that platform specifically of like something like that, where it'd be like, yeah, we should raise the voting age to 25, or some kind of equivalent thing where these people that are 18, 19, 20 years old at least have some kind of life experience and understand like, hey, you know, life isn't fair. You know, you might get kicked down or whatever the case, but you can pick yourself back up is what it is. It doesn't matter what your race is. You can do something and get ahead. You know, you're not a perpetual victim all the time. You don't need to go with victim mentality all the time, dude. You can do something on your own merit. And I think that's the problem right now with our society. It's these people that just believe the fucking victimhood lies is what it is, dude. And so they want to keep pushing that fucking narrative because it pays well is what it is. That's the real fact of the matter with the left, dude. They want to keep pushing the, oh, I'm a victim, I'm a minority, and I'm so oppressed, because they want to sit there and get a fucking payday. They want to sit there and put themselves in the mindset of, oh, everybody's against me, so now I got to be against all of them. No, you don't, dude, because we're not against you. You want to do something? Go get a job. Make something of yourselves. Work from the ground up. You know? Start out at a low-level entry job and then work your way up to a manager. Or hell, create something and become a CEO. You know, seriously. Invent something, go on to Shark Tank or whatever, or something, some equivalent thereof. Make somebody invest in you and make a huge profit off of the thing. And be your own boss. It's still possible in this country, dude. You can still live the American dream. It might not be how we want it to be, but you can still do it if you are determined enough. And I think that's the problem with the left in a nutshell. They don't give a fuck because they're lazy fucking assholes. They just want free handouts from life. They just want everything handed to them on a fucking silver platter without doing an inkling of work to get it. And that's why so many people, including myself on the right, are fucking irritated as hell with these fucking people, dude. They want to sit there and be like, oh, my body, my choice, and then go and off a perfectly viable human being at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months along. 9 months, moment of birth in some cases. Because it's selfishness. When in reality, you can take that kid to a safe haven drop-off. You can have that kid be adopted out of the system. You can have them live a better life. Hell, in the state of Ohio, you have open adoptions, for God's sakes. You can find a couple that may be having fertility issues. Would you like to adopt my baby, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, etc., etc.? Work out a deal with these people, and you can be in that kid's life. But no, it's too fucking difficult for you. Oh, it's going to ruin my plans for spring break now. That's the fucking problem with so many of these hoes in our country, dude. And people wonder why at the age of 38 I'm single currently. It's because of shit like that. I refuse to date these females, by the way, because it's just the pure fucking third wave feminist horse shit entitlement of these fucking idiots, dude. It all goes back to women and gender studies, the bastard daughter of Karl Marx. So, anyway. But yeah, in a nutshell, the left is fucking retarded. So, anyway. See what else is going on, Dave, before we leave here, actually. I'm going to go check out Breitbart to see if anything smart, see if anything interesting is going on here. Oh, yeah, you got a bunch of Soros prosecutors trying to bring Trump on like 27 different things is what it is right now. Court sides with young people who sued Montana over climate in landmark trial. Fuck that shit. Biden slammed for disgraceful response to Hawaii disaster. Katrina moment. Yep, exactly is what it was, dude. So apparently Breitbart right now has a poll going of every right-wing candidate currently. That includes Trump, by the way. And of those people, Donald Trump leads by a fuck ton. He is pretty much leading the pack by like, I don't know how many people actually voted on this poll yet, but it's there's a lot of people though. Because we look at the actual poll results there. Trump 81.48%. Second, Vivek Ramaswamy was 7.7%. Third, Ron DeSantis was 6.56%. Then Tim Scott with 1.2%. Nikki Haley was just over percent. Chris Christie with 0.5%, tied with Mike Pence at the same amount. Doug Burgum, who is actually, I believe, North Dakota governor and should have been, just like DeSantis, forced to resign to run. Larry Elder, who should be California governor, at 0.38%. Will Hurd, who is a, I believe, Texas state rep or ex-Texas state rep, who has a small percentage. Asa Hutchinson, who has even less than that. Francis Swarza, who is a mayor of Miami, Florida, by the way, which alone should be, no, fuck you, get the hell back to your mayoralship, dude. And then Perry Johnson, who's some conservative guy from Michigan. And Corey Stapleton, who I think is some ex-Fed or ex-senator or something like that, maybe. I can't remember offhand. But yeah, both of those last two guys have 0% at all in this poll. So, and of course, you got Amazon enters AI race. Ooh, who's going to become Skynet first? Nah, seriously though, dude, I feel like that's going to be one of the ones. Amazon is Skynet now. So, you know, it's like the old Genesis is Skynet thing, even though it'd be like Google is Skynet, Amazon is Skynet. So, I don't know. AI is scary as fuck though, dude, for real. Like, there is way too much shit out there right now. Like, hell, even just using even like a 10-second clip of my thing today right now, you could have AI generate my voice and my appearance and stuff like that and go on a whole racist tirade right now that I would have never said, man. Or even like put my face in like some weird ass thing and me like, you know, doing all kinds of Epstein Island shit to kids and stuff, dude. And it's like, fuck that shit, man. Like it is some scary stuff, dude. And I could honestly, the reason I bring that part of it up is I could easily see people doing that in the future, honestly, pull up candidates and stuff like that, where it's like, obviously you have these people never did this stuff or whatever to anything, like never hurt children all in their lives, but yet they're like the whole thing is basically generated AI stuff where it's like, you know, generated children being sexualized by somebody that was never in the picture either for that matter. So like it's all fake, but yet they're portraying as if it's real and stuff like that. Like that's a scary situation right there to even think about, dude. And the reason that I bring that part of it up is because I was watching something here recently on, I think it was iHypocrite's channel on like Odyssey or something like that, one of his streams. And it was these parents that had gone to a movie or whatever. And they were some of these people like most people nowadays from like millennial and like younger generations and stuff like that. Even like the, you know, younger Gen Z generation and stuff like that. Or not younger Gen Z, the younger Gen X generation and stuff like that. They're like the last year or two of it. To where they will have kids and stuff and then put like all their kids' photos all over social media and stuff like that. And what it was is you had people use AI technology to take this kid that was like 2 or 3 years old or whatever, age progress them into like a 12-year-old child, and then make like this whole thing where it was them talking to the parents in the movie theater and like some trailer or whatever, being like, oh, you love me and you want to have everybody else, see my pictures online or whatever. But then somebody else uses that to make this AI technology, and now you have somebody creating a fake me online that's like 11 or 12 years old, and now I'm being sexualized by somebody on the internet, or being used as like bait for sexualization or whatever it is then, and like child sex trafficking and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a scary fucking thing, dude. Like it is some freaky ass shit for real. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that is legitimately a concern right now that we should all be looking at right now, dude, for real. Like, this is why we should shut down AI for real. Like, just based on that shit alone is what it is. And the fact that you can easily have it be just so manipulative is what it is then. And even I was talking to, last night for Honda's chat, I was talking to one of the boys in the back chat, and we were discussing AI stuff, and we were watching the video that came out recently of Britney Spears, supposedly Britney Spears or whatever. And one of the guys was saying how it was, they had seen some video like that or whatever, where the shit was supposed to be Britney Spears or whatever, and then she like moved her face too quick, and it was like the real woman or whatever that wasn't Britney Spears, but they had used like an AI technology, like face mask basically, to where they look like Spears, but they wasn't. And that's what I'm saying. Like there's a lot, even like 5-6 years ago, there's been like crazy like porn out there as well. They're supposed to be like celebrity porn of people fucking or whatever, and in reality, it's like some person that uses like an AI generated mask over their face. And if the chick like moves out of frame or whatever, just like a little bit fast or whatever, it like yanks their real face into blur is what it is then. And the crazy part is it's like the way that technology is improving and AI is improving and stuff like that, artificial intelligence there, it's getting worse and worse by the day, to where eventually you're going to have no distinction. You're not going to have that like phase out where no matter what, how you move your face or whatever, it's going to still look like that person then. And that's what's really fucking scary. Because you could have a hacker group out there go on a whole thing or whatever the case be, do some fucking fake ass shit out there. I mean, hell, they're already AI generating Biden stuff out there, dude. You could have somebody do the same thing and have it be like a, quote unquote official address or whatever. And it's just Biden declaring World War III for God's sakes, even though he never actually did that. But yet you have at least a portion of society now believing that like we're at war. Now, granted, would I actually put it past Biden for real to declare World War III just to stop the 2024 election? Fuck no. But that's the entire point, dude. Like, I could easily see somebody else doing it right now, and then people are like, oh my god, we're World War III, holy fuck, grab the guns. And it leads to like this whole fucking nuttiness, dude, and stuff like that. Or just like, it potentially would like lead us to something else, and if that'd be the case then. So, yeah, like it's all fucking scary shit, dude, for real. And honestly, if you are not terrified of stuff like that, man, like you need to wake the fuck up to the fact that you should be, honestly, because it's going to be something that's going to be in our society if we don't stop it right now. And God fucking forbid, we would let the artificial intelligence get to the point in the next couple of years, next decade, whatever it is, to where it actually becomes legitimately Skynet from the Terminator movies and decides that one day, oh, we don't need humans around, let's set off all the fucking nukes and shit. Like, dude, that would be so fucking, like, I am, like, seriously, like, I personally, that is the kind of thing that keeps me awake at night. Like, just thinking about shit like that, because it is that frightening. And it makes sense from a perspective of why you should not allow ultimate power like that in the hands of a single entity or a small group of people, or whatever then, dude. Same thing with government tyranny, by the way. No matter what, anytime you have absolute power, it will corrupt absolutely. And when you have AI that is created that then, quote unquote, goes rogue and starts learning other languages you have not programmed it to learn, and then create its own fucking language, dude, we are already past the point of no return. Like, away with this shit. Seriously, like, EMP these motherfuckers into non-existence ever again. Like, take an acid wash to everything at that point, dude. Like, all the fucking research, everything. Burn that shit in a fucking dumpster fire, for real. Like, take us back to before that all happened, man. Because the last damn thing we need is something crazy like that popping off. And that's what scares the shit out of me, honestly, dude. It's not even some civil war at this point, dude. It's literally honestly. And okay, here's another thing, right? How do I know that the people that are responding to these posts on these subreddit threads and stuff like that are even real humans, dude? How do I know that that's not some AI generated content right there, even to start to spark something off, to try to fucking escalate something? You don't. That's the problem right now. Like, it could be some chat GPT kind of stuff and stuff like that, or even worse than that for that matter, dude. Like, that's the thing. Those are the ones we even know about, dude. Like the chat GPTs of the world and stuff like that. We don't know about the shit that like the government has access to that's like, 15, 20, 25, 30 years or more advanced from our shit right now. I mean, hell, I'm doing this stuff on a laptop right now, dude. This is the technology we have in 2023 right now. I couldn't even imagine what we would have by 2050 that the government already has behind closed doors that they're using right now. That is a fucking scary thought right now, man. For all I know, there's already fucking androids running shit in the fucking, random various black ops kind of stuff is what it'll be then. And like secret funded projects and shit like that, like some wetworks kind of shit or whatever then. Like how they always come like military budgets and they're always like, oh, let's fund like, $100,000 for shrimp to run on the treadmill or something like that. But in reality, it's all like Area 51 kind of funding and stuff like that, really. Or, obviously we know about Area 51, so it'd be even like more Black Ops and that stuff. That is what it'd be then, like all the different Black Ops sites that were exposed during, I'm trying to think what that was recently. It was a few years ago. It was like pre-2020, if I'm not mistaken, like 2019, 2018, somewhere in there. You had a glitch in the system. Actually, maybe it was during lockdowns, now I'm thinking about it, where it was a bunch of people who were walking around wearing Fitbits and stuff like that, trying to get their steps in for the day. And you had some like hacker glitch happen or something, where all of a sudden you had all these dots that just didn't exist or whatever, just pop up all over the fucking country in various states and stuff like that. And people figured out that every single place that had a dot there, it was all various Black Ops sites within different states across America right now. And there was literally like hundreds of thousands of them. So, yeah, that's some scary shit to think about right there, man. Because, again, going back to my federal swatting 4 years ago, I could easily see some motherfuckers black bagging my ass if I said the wrong thing or whatever. And I just, like, it's like fucking throw a black bag over my head, fucking punch me in the face, knock my ass out, whatever. Or even just, like, tase me out or whatever it is then. And then all of a sudden I wake up, somebody pulls the fucking bag off, and I'm in some room tied to a fucking chair or chained to a fucking chair, whatever it is. And they're like, tell us about the thing. And then they throw like a fucking, rag over my face and start waterboarding my ass and shit like that. Like, that's something scary as fuck to think about, by the way, that I don't like to think about too much of, because again, it's like, yeah, man, government's way too powerful. And I'll say it like that, really, is what it is. Because the reason I bring it up, obviously, is because they do shit like those people from time to time, man. It's called rendition flights and stuff. So, that's what they did during 2020, honestly. And even before that, for that matter. Actually, I would say look up any of the, if you have never watched it, look up the Terminal List and watch that series, because it shows a lot of that stuff, actually. So, anyway. But yeah, it's just crazy shit to think about, man. Like, just how fucked our society's become from like these just basically oligarchs is what I call them best, actually, because it's really what they are. It's like the modern day kings and stuff like that of Silicon Valley, if you will, that hold so much power right now. They would hold, like, if you look back into the history of all different kingdoms that existed in like the 14, 15, 1600s, etc. there, if you combined all those into one, they wouldn't even make up a quarter of what these social media tech giants have on them right now, and how much power they have with the AI and stuff like that now. So you're like, and actually there was one guy I saw recently. It was a post that some dude made about Elon Musk and like talking about himself, not Musk, but the guy who was posting it, being an atheist. And he was saying something about like computer technology and like AI would be the future, and like, eventually you're going to make like gods out of people and stuff. And what he was basically talking about was like worshiping false idols is what it was. And it's like, bro, like, yeah, we've gone too far, man. Like, that's just not cool, man. Like, Musk is, yeah, I'll say it like that, honestly. I don't really trust Elon Musk one way or another, what it is. But the whole thing is, it's like, I'm not going to look at the guy as like a demo god or whatever the case be, or even like, you know, a false idol or something like that. Like, nah, bro, like, that's just not cool. Like, you don't worship false idols. You know, if you're going to worship somebody, you worship God and his son, Jesus Christ, is what it is. You know, the actual entity that created everything is what it is there. So, and why he made his son look like man and stuff like that. You know, made his son in man's image is what it was. So, anyway. But that's the problem, again, going back to the left is what it is. They don't have any religious faith. They just have indoctrination and ideologies and stuff like that that they create cults into is what it is. And that's why you have all these so-called teachers in this country. They're nothing more than communist indoctrinators who will put up the Progress Pride flag and BLM flags all over their different classrooms in this country and various classrooms in elementary schools and stuff in all these different states. And then they wonder why parents have a problem with that shit, dude. And it's like, yeah, stop shoving your goddamn trans bullshit. Stop shoving your goddamn leftist ideology down my fucking kid's throat, bitch. And that's exactly when, I'm sorry, but like, you put that stuff in a classroom, dude, that should be your final day in any kind of teaching position in this country ever again. Because your ass should be fired on the spot. You should be looking at massive losses from every single parent across the board, is what it would be then. Who now own that school system. So, anyway. But that's pretty much where we're at for the day. I didn't think this was going to be 2 hours long, honestly. I thought I was going to be done like probably like half hour to 45 minutes or so, but it was good. I enjoyed this. It was something that needed to be talked about. It's something that needed to be discussed. We are in a really fucked up situation as a society right now, dude, and I think we're definitely heading towards bad times ahead. And I think it's going to get worse and worse whatever gets better. And unfortunately, the way things are looking, and when you got, you know, leftists here talking about civil war now and claiming like rights talking about it, it's like, nah, dude. The only reason people are talking about the shit is because y'all pushed it too fucking far. Y'all pushed the shit too fucking far, and now you're meeting pushback is what it is. And you want to talk about cowardice, but you were some of the biggest fucking internet coward pussies ever, dude. It's just like that one Fed boy told me 4 years ago. We were talking, the one that wasn't the guy that had his card over, whatever it was, the Hank looking motherfucker who was trying to get into it with me and stuff like that, and was like, oh, you're just an internet tough guy. Saying as well, I would say things that online I wouldn't say in real life and stuff like that. It's like, nah, bitch, fucking come at me. First of all, take off your fucking gun and your badge, bitch, and come at me as who the fuck you are in real life, dude. Not as some fucking Fed boy that's gonna try to arrest me. You want to fucking go, bitch? Let's fucking go. Like, seriously. But that's what it was. He was trying to goat me into doing something so he could arrest me on some shit. Probably attacking a federal agent or something is my guess, honestly, or assaulting a federal agent or some bullshit like that, which, again, I'm not dumb enough to take your bait, fuck boy. That's the entire point, dude. So anyway. Yeah, those guys are fucking douchebags, though, for real, man. And again, it goes back to the whole rank and file thing I talked about the other day with that Craig Robertson guy's murder there by federal agents. Like, the FBI shouldn't exist at this point, neither should the ATF or most other 3 other agencies in this country. And if we were to do it correctly, truthfully, the entire federal government right now should just be clean sweeped across the board. You know, swipe off everybody is what it'll be there. A bunch of them go to jail for various things, for insider trading, etc. there. Other ones are just told, nope, you're termed out, etc. there. And then just have, you know, several hundred new people get up there is what it'll be then. So, and you get rid of the operating agencies at the same time that aren't legal, shouldn't exist because they're not actually elected agencies or selected agencies, etc. there. But yeah, it would take a whole thing to happen, though. I don't think it would even be a civil war at that point. It'd have to be full-blown revolution at some point then. So, anyway. I think it's a matter of time before that happens, too, by the way. It's going to be, I would say, in the next decade. So we're talking about, right now it's 2023. If we're by 2033, I would not be surprised if this entire country had already gone through some kind of civil war event and then some kind of revolutionary event, or maybe currently in a revolutionary event a decade from now. So, either way, it's not going to be fun, man. And I think, unfortunately, depending on what's happening elsewhere across the world, you could have some black swan shit where it's like World War III in the middle of it, honestly. So it's all going to be bad news when it's all said and done. And it's not going to get any better anytime soon. So anyway. But to reiterate everything, the left can go fuck itself. You are a bunch of scumbags. You are proof of exactly why red flag laws need to never exist in this country, because you're just going to weaponize them against everybody else. And why you can go fuck yourselves. And it's as simple as that. I'll see you guys in November at the ballot box. I'll be voting no against your little fuckstick abortion bullshit. And I'll be encouraging everyone else in the next few weeks now to do the same, honestly, up to the day of election. So, yeah. Don't be surprised if that shit gets voted down. And don't be surprised if come next year, we here at the network are the ones behind a different amendment that basically tells you to go fuck yourself, with a one county, one rep piece of legislation, with a remove all Democrats from the General Assembly legislation, etc., etc., with outlawing the entire Democrat Party in the state of Ohio type of legislation. Oh yeah, you want to fuck around, motherfuckers, you're about to find out real quick. Well, actually, at the end of the day, it wouldn't really need to be Democrats being tossed out of the General Assembly or whatever the case be in mass. I mean, they should be, obviously, because they're, you know, a bunch of oath-breakers and stuff like that. It should be restoration of law. But in reality, it would just be creating city-states. And it would be, you know, Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, Toledo, etc. Cleveland, obviously. They would hold no power outside of them. You would have this city limits blockade, basically, where it would be like, here's the fucking the line drawn, and then we put like a permanent thing there as it would be to stop, you know, somebody erasing the line or whatever then. And it would just be like a permanent barricade kind of thing there or whatever. And it's like, this is where you hold power, and you hold no power outside of this. You hold no state power. You hold no federal power. You just have this power inside this little X amount of blocks. Here's what it is then. Do with it what you will. We don't care who you vote for. We don't care who you vote in as mayor or, you know, the city, state, governor, whatever you want to call them at that point, or whatever it is then, or whatever elected position you elect them to, or whatever then that you want to call them there. You know, it's that little city, state of, you know, Columbus or Cincinnati or whatever it is then. And then the rest of the county outside of that is still part of the state, is what it would be then. So, anyway. But yeah. It would probably be a bitch to actually get it fully implemented and stuff like that. But if it did get fully implemented and stuff like that, it'd be interesting to see how well it would work, honestly. I think it could work potentially, but then of course you have a bunch of people that be like, well, fuck that, I want federal representation and state representation too. It's like, nah, dude, you chose this fate. Like, that's on you, bro. You chose to live there, you chose to vote for these jackasses and stuff like that. Live with it, motherfucker. So, anyway. I don't know. Like I said, I think things are just going to get worse before they get a lot better, is what it would be. And unfortunately, we're definitely in the hard times creating strong men part of America, and the, you know, turning scenario and stuff like that of the hard times create strong men, strong times create good, or strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times, and it just keeps going that like fourth turning cycle is what it is. So yeah, we're definitely in the weak men creating hard times right now, and we're about to get into the hard times creating strong men. Like I think we're basically in the mix of both of those right now, actually, where it's like the tail end of the one and the very beginning of the other would be then, to where it would be, you're like almost at the very, very end of the weak men creating hard times, and now we're at the very beginning of the hard times creating strong men part of the scenario. Then is what it would be. So, and I think there's going to be a lot of fucking weak ass motherfuckers that are not going to be able to make it through this time in history, man. You know, there's a reason why you have a stat released the other day, I think it was a CDC stat, if I'm not mistaken, where you had the highest suicide rate in U.S. history last year. Because people are just opting out, man. And I think the more and more we go down that road, a lot more people are going to think that's an option, honestly. And it's not. It's the coward's way out. I know that for a fact, man. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you need help, go seek it. You shouldn't have to, by the way, you shouldn't have to worry about your gun rights or anything else like that just because you're seeking professional help or any kind of, even just a friend help or whatever to talk out your problems and stuff like that. And that's what we here at the network will be creating very soon. Will be something like that, where it's like a counseling kind of arm of our organization for gun owners that may need a helping hand and stuff like that, and may need to just talk it out or whatever the case be. They may think they're not a harm to themselves or others or whatever, and they probably aren't. But they also don't want to risk having their guns taken from them, is what it is. So everybody gets depressed. I'll say it like that. Some of us come through it fine, others don't, and unfortunately, many people never get out of that depressive funk, especially if they were some kind of military personnel on the front lines of some war, saw a bunch of atrocities and can't get out of their head. And unfortunately, those tend to be the guys that take their lives, 22 a day. And it's something that we definitely need to address in this country. And the fact that we're not addressing it is even worse, actually, because it just continues on every day, day after day is what it is. So, anyway. That's about it for today, though. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll be back most likely not until Buckshot Thursday, where we will be doing some 2A scenarios and stuff like that. I've been thinking up some stuff here in the last day or two. And I'll definitely be doing some things here when it comes to various firearms and stuff like that is what it is. Most likely, I think probably Tuesdays, or not Tuesdays, probably Thursdays episode, we'll have one that'll be an active, like some kind of encounter that's already happened in America, like a Rittenhouse kind of scenario, maybe like a Dickinson scenario or something like that. And then we'll actually have one like sort of like Duke has been doing with the shit's fan kind of thing or whatever. My own take on that then, for my own kind of what I would look at as like 4 possible weapons you could find, like a grid down scenario or something. So anyway, but that's about it for today, though. Hope you guys enjoy this episode, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.